The first crack in the foundation appeared quietly, almost as a rumor whispered in the dark corners of online forums. In the summer of 2019, not long after IZONE had solidified their status as K-pop's newest powerhouse with their Violetta comeback, some fans of the Produce 48 program began running complicated statistical models on the final vote totals. Their findings were strange, almost mathematical anomalies. The margins between certain contestants, they claimed, were too perfect, following suspiciously round number patterns. At first, these were dismissed as the sour grapes of fans whose favorites didn't make it, but the whispers grew louder, turning into a steady hum of suspicion that Minette, the network behind the show, couldn't fully silence. This wasn't just about IZONE anymore. It was about the entire integrity of the Produce franchise, a billion-won machine built on the illusion of viewer choice. The stage was being set for a scandal that wouldn't just topple a group. It would threaten the business model of an entire network. The explosion happened in November 2019. Korean news outlets, based on police investigations, dropped the bombshell. The vote manipulation was real, and it was systemic. Arrest warrants were issued for key producers, including the show's main PD, wonyoung. The public revelation was brutal in its clarity. This wasn't a minor technical glitch. Producers were allegedly handpicking trainees from the very beginning, manipulating rankings episode by episode to ensure their pre-selected lineup made the final cut. For IZONE, a group literally named for their 12 members chosen by the people, this was an existential crisis. Overnight, the narrative flipped. Their record-breaking debut, their rapid rise, every music show win was now seen through a lens of potential fraud. Netizens erupted with a vocals section demanding immediate disbandment. They argued that every spot in IZONE was potentially a stolen spot, that the dreams of other trainees, like Lee Gaeun and Han Chaewon, who shockingly placed outside the final lineup despite strong popularity, had been mercilessly crushed for this corporate project. The industry's reaction was a masterclass in damage control that ultimately left the members stranded. CJENM and the 8 different agencies managing non-members went into lockdown. All group activities were frozen. Their comeback was canceled. The members, who were at the peak of their promotions, suddenly vanished from public view. Imagine the psychological toll. These 12 young women, who had worked tirelessly for over a year, were now confined to their dorms, watching their life's work be labeled illegitimate on national news, unable to say a word in their own defense. Their social media went silent or posted only the most cryptic, careful messages. Fans, the WIZ ONE, were thrown into chaos. A deep schism formed in the public discourse. One side saw the girls as complicit beneficiaries of a crime. The other, larger side within the fandom, saw them as the biggest victims, pawns who had trained, performed, and lived under immense pressure, only to have their achievements hollowed out by the actions of corrupt men in a production truck. This fandom mobilized like never before, flooding social media with the hashtag IZONESaves, arguing the members' careers and mental health were on the line for decisions they had zero part in. While the public fought online, the court proceedings revealed a story so cynical it felt like a script. Producer An Jun-young and others confessed to the manipulation. Their reasoning, as reported in court documents and media leaks, was infuriatingly pragmatic. They claimed the final group needed balance, certain concepts, certain vocal types, certain visual roles filled. It wasn't just about popularity, it was about building a marketable product. Rumors, never fully confirmed but endlessly discussed, swirled about what this meant for IZONE's lineup. Was a Japanese member added to secure the Japanese market? Was a Korean vocalist swapped out to make room for a more popular visual? The lack of official confirmation on which spots were rigged became its own kind of torture. It meant every single member, from Jang Wonyoung in first place to Lee Chaewon in 12th, was now under a cloud of public suspicion. Their individual talents were irrelevant. The scandal had collectively branded them. The hiatus stretched for months, from November 2019 into the bleak winter. Most groups would have disintegrated under such pressure. Then, in January 2020, a shocking reversal. The agencies and CJENM announced IZONE would resume activities. The backlash from the general public was ferocious. It felt like the industry was spitting in the face of justice, allowing a rigged group to profit. But behind the scenes, the calculus was complex. The legal defendants were the producers, not the group. Disbanding IZONE would mean colossal financial losses for the agencies and CJENM, who had invested millions in upcoming comebacks, tours, and Japanese promotions. Furthermore, the members' contracts were binding. Forcing them into indefinite inactivity could have led to its own legal battles. The decision to bring them back was less about morality and more about cold, hard business and contractual obligations. Their return in February 2020 with Bloom Ease was one of the most emotionally charged moments in K-pop. The album title was a defiant confident statement. The lead single Fiesta was a burst of chaotic, colorful energy that felt less like a celebration and more like a scream for survival. When they won on music shows, the tears were not of joy but of profound relief and trauma. Yoonbi, the leader, sobbed uncontrollably on stage, the weight of those 4 silent months crushing her. Every performance was now a battle on 2 fronts: to deliver perfect stages and to prove they deserved to be there. This period also saw the ugly side of fan culture, with some netizens launching targeted hate campaigns against specific members they speculated were rigged in, a cruel and unfounded attack that the companies had no effective way to combat. Just as they were fighting to reclaim their narrative, the world shut down. The COVID-19 pandemic erased any chance of a redemption tour. Literally, planned concerts were canceled, removing the crucial arena where they could have connected directly with fans and converted energy into goodwill. They persevered through online concerts and a summer comeback with Secret Story of the Swan, but the specter of their ending loomed larger. Their contract expiration in April 2021 was a ticking clock everyone could hear. This is where the story takes its most dramatic fan-driven turn. Knowing their time was short, WIZ ONE across the globe embarked on the Parallel Universe project. This wasn't just a hashtag. It was a coordinated, sophisticated fundraising campaign that amassed nearly $1 million US. The goal was audacious: to use the money as a financial incentive to persuade the 12 different agencies to extend IZONE's contract. It was a testament to fan power and a heartbreaking plea to keep their family together. For a few weeks in early 2021, hope was a real, tangible thing. News outlets reported the agencies were in serious discussions. The fandom was euphoric, believing their million-dollar love letter could bend the rules of the industry. IZONE's final scheduled concert was titled "One the Story," and many fans bought tickets believing it would be the prologue to a new chapter, not an epilogue. Then, in March 2021, 3 days before the concert, the devastating news broke. The negotiations had collapsed. The agencies, each with their own plans for the members' futures, plans for new groups like Ivy and Ella Seraphim, solo careers and acting paths, could not reach a consensus. The money, it turned out, couldn't solve the logistical nightmare of aligning 12 separate corporate interests. The concert became a funeral. The final online concert was an excruciating display of raw grief. This was not a polished farewell show. This was the sound of a dream being dismantled in real time. Kim Chaewon hyperventilated through her goodbye speech. Wonyoung, who had literally grown up in the group, cried for her members, lost at the thought of being alone. Hitomi and Nako, far from home, faced an uncertain return to Japan. But it was Minju's words that encapsulated the tragedy. "I was a person who was used to being alone. Now, having received so much love, I'm afraid of going back to that time." Their bond, forged in a crucible of unprecedented scandal and pressure, was being severed not by failure, but by corporate timelines and the fallout from a crime they didn't commit. The aftermath is a study in contrasts and lingering questions. The members scattered, many achieving great success. Jang Wonyoung and An Yujin debuted in EV. Kim Chaewon and Sakura helped launch Seraphim. Others pursued solo careers. They proved their individual star power was always real. Yet the scandal's shadow is a permanent part of their legacy. The broader produced series was terminated. Mnet's credibility was shattered, forcing a shift in how survival shows are produced and audited. The other rigged group from Produce X101, X1, disbanded immediately and never recovered, making IZONE's continued run an anomaly that still sparks debate.